Hi everyone, so welcome to part 3 of the video of the role of a CISO in a modern organization. So I talked about 10 things in the first two videos. Today I'm going to talk about 5 things or so. Let's start with number 11. So number 11 would be continuous learning and adaptability. Now this entails where a CISO is expected to stay up to date with the latest cybersecurity trends and threats. Now, this is very, very important because the threat landscape changes from time to time, and in today's world, it changes in hours and days and weeks. So it's no longer something that you can push for the next year or next quarter. You have to stay updated every single day. Having said that, you can get better at it if, as a CISO, as any leader, you would network with your peers with the same industry or different industries, doesn't matter. If you network, you are able to share your wisdom as well as receive wisdom and get the thought process of your peers as to how they handle the security in their organization, in their industry, and better yet, how they stay updated to the latest cybersecurity threats and trends. That's very important. So remember to continually learn and network for improvement and development as a cybersecurity leader. Next thing would be crisis management. So when I talked about incident response planning, yes, you are accountable for creating the plan, implementing the plan, testing the plan, and actually when the crisis happens, you are responsible for managing that crisis. Yes, you would have deputies, so you would have directors, you'll have managers overseeing the implementation of that plan and even doing the hands-on bit when there's an incident, but you would be overall responsible for managing that whole crisis, especially when it comes to communication to your senior leadership and or the board. That's very important because when there is a crisis that's large enough or has a large impact on your organization, they need to be in the know because you do not want them to hear this in the morning news, right? So stay with the crisis management, make sure you're accountable for it, and that is something that's expected of you as a CISO, and make sure you master the art of communication when you are in that crisis management situation. All right, so next we move on to number 13, would be building a security culture. Now this is, I would say, not wholly your responsibility, but a very big portion of this falls on your shoulders, where you create that sense of culture or mindset within your organization that, hey, everyone is involved in the security of the organization. Cybersecurity or any other kind of security is everyone's business, not just the senior leadership and not just legal or HR. It's everyone's business. So that kind of a mindset sometimes is already existing in an organization, and you come in and develop it even more or maintain it. Sometimes you will need to work around and make new ways to create that sort of a culture. So creating a cybersecurity awareness culture would fall mostly on the shoulders of a CISO. Next, and this is very important, vendor and third-party risk management. If there was no SolarWinds, I wouldn't be talking about this. A lot of executives would not be talking about this. But most of the things, or a lot of the threats that come into an organization through their vendors and third party. It's like you have a family of, and you have protected your organization like a family. So you know who's in your organization, you manage their credentials well, you manage their profiles well, you manage their identities well. But at the same time, now there is this third party, you're adopting this organization into your family, but they have their own family. How are you sure that members of their family are up to your level in terms of security, and they have practices wherein they don't fall prey to threat, and hence you don't fall prey to threat through them. So that's very important, and that is a big risk which earlier I think did not have a large impact, or maybe it was not in the limelight. But in recent times, in recent last 4 or 5 years, especially after SolarWinds, it is in the limelight, and vendor risk management or third party risk management is very, very important. Doing your due diligence before adopting a new vendor or a third party, and continually assessing how good they are with their security practices, that responsibility will fall on the shoulders of a chief information security officer. All right, next and the last one would be your global cybersecurity and landscape awareness. Now, this is very similar to the earlier point that I spoke about, and I'll emphasize it a little bit more because I introduced that in the previous point, but I'll talk about it a little bit more, where you, as a CISO, network with other CISOs. Like I mentioned, you share and receive knowledge about how your peers, the other CISOs, what is their thought process with approaching security in their organization. You don't need to share specific practices, but you do need to share and receive information in terms of how they keep themselves protected, how do you keep your organization protected, because this sharing of information is what is important, because we are on the same side. We all need protection against the bad guys. So the more we share information with each other and help build each other, that will help us be stronger, and our security posture will be improved and will be stronger because of this one thing that you would take up on you. This would never be in a job description, but it's expected, because every leader, every chief officer, every leader in their whatever teams they are in, they would network and find out what are other peers doing in their organization, in their industry. How's marketing done in this kind of industry or that kind of industry? How is this industry doing their finance? How is the other one doing their human resources and stuff? So a CISO would also need to network and share and receive information as to how other peers in the organization, in the industry, are taking care of cybersecurity. And when you are expanding or maintaining your global cybersecurity awareness, you would also need to know, just like the previous point, where you have to stay updated to the latest threats and trends. You also need to know if those new threats and trends apply to your organization, are a threat to your organization, and how much. That is where a CISO or any security leader, that is where your expertise is required, because there can be 100 different threats, but maybe 2 apply to your organization in a large way. There's a large impact. If you are just an average leader and you do not play this well, you might want to prepare for all 100 of them. But a true cybersecurity leader, their expertise comes into the light when they go to their board, they go to their leadership and say, yeah, we know of this 10, let's say 10, I'm not saying 100 is an exaggeration. Let's say there are 10 threats, and you say, okay, I know there are 10 threats, but out of these, as an executive, I can tell you by my experience, by analysis, that 2 of these apply to us in a large way, and they pose a severe risk, and I propose that we could mitigate them in such and such way. That is what is required of a chief officer. We do not, as CISOs, you do not need to protect your organization against all 10 of them. If they do not apply, if they are not relevant, you do not need to protect against them. And you obviously communicate that to the board as well, so they can also know and make a choice that yes, we are happy that those do not apply to us. So that cybersecurity landscape awareness of you networking and networking with the peers, and also understanding the threat landscape and how it impacts your organization is a skill set that you would need. So these were the things that I want to talk about when it comes to the role of a CISO in a modern organization. 15 to 16 points, I think, over the last 3 videos. If you haven't watched those videos, please go back and watch them. Part 1, Part 2, this is Part 3. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, or if there are other things I may have missed out, please share your wisdom with me. Until the next video, take care and stay safe.